Before we get started, Trish was just saying, ladies and gentlemen, that she thinks we need a new theme song.
I think we do. It's a new year, it's a new thing. Let's come up with something.
We've had that little rocker for 4 years, but
And
maybe
it's
it is
cute.
maybe what about something like, "Talking
Talking
it up,
it up.
it's the Trish and Doug talk show,
You all
talking
have to
about
go watch the
e-commerce." Don't interrupt me on my show, Trish.
you all have to go watch Saturday Night Live now, so you know what the hell Doug's talking about.
It's a very good talk show, talking about e-commerce, talking about cross-listing, talking it up,
Oh, that was pretty good, Doug. I'm
Trish and
pretty
Doug
impressed,
talk
actually.
show. If you'd been on the Snoop Doggy show last week, I
Yeah.
did a full-on impromptu version of Alanis Morissette's "Ironic,"
So you
and
know what I do you know what I got for Christmas from my daughter this year?
Alanis Morissette CD.
No, Alanis Morissette tickets for July.
Oh, she's very good,
Ooh.
very
Yeah,
good.
I've
I've
seen her
seen
before. She was great.
Yeah, she's really
Yeah.
good. She does weird things with her hands.
Yeah, she does.
You know who her original drummer was?
No.
Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters, who had that heart attack.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Great drummer, good rocker.
You are like a wealth of knowledge, my friend.
Yes, yes, but do I remember what I had for breakfast, Trish?
I do not know. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I
So
don't.
on that note, welcome to the Seller Community Podcast from List Perfectly. This week we're going to be chatting about my favorite subject,
It's true.
customer service for resellers. I think it's really important. So we're going to talk about that. We'll do Trisha's tip of the week or whatever we're calling it, and seller news and shout outs.
Trish, so you've been doing this how many years?
I have been a full-time reseller for 8 years.
Okay, so that's quite a bit of time. You started in the brick and mortar world.
Yep, I had a consignment store and I started selling when I owned that and then transitioned to just online.
I wanna know, first off, how much is customer service in the brick and mortar world similar to customer service in the online selling world?
I think they're completely different, to be quite honest with you. When you walk into somewhere and somebody has a feel for you and they like you,
Mhm.
so even when something goes wrong, I could go like, "Hey, I'm so sorry." Blah, blah, blah. It was much easier to win them back faster, I always felt,
Yeah.
than online. I think online tone is really important. How you say something in an email. Snarkiness does not work at all. I don't think it's very hard to translate. And so is like sarcasm or joking. And so I think online, you just have to be a lot more strict with yourself and what
Okay.
you say and with your actions. I would much rather give somebody back their money and keep them as a customer of the platform. I really try to think about and I thought the same thing basically when I had the store. It was much easier to me for me to get you to come back than to be a first time seller, to be a first time customer.
Yeah.
So I was more willing to do what I got to do to get you to come back. And I feel the same way about online, but they're just a little bit different.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about understanding your customers, identifying your target customer base.
So I think that this is really important so that you can have a picture in your mind's eye of who you're talking to. So for me, I am a used clothing seller and I sell mostly everyday brands, mall brands, Walmart, Target, mall brands, Macy's probably is my highest, the regular stuff that I sell. I do have some specialty stuff that's a little bit
Mm.
different, those
Okay.
customers. But just the everyday customer who buys from me, I think is a woman who is between 25 and 50, and I think she's probably a mom. I think she probably works outside the home, and I think she's very budget conscious, but I also think she wants to get some of her time back, so it's easy to have things sent to her home than
Mhm.
have to go out to
Okay.
buy them. And I also think that she is worried about the earth. She's a little bit of an environmentalist at heart, and so she likes the idea of the reuse, recycle, upcycle kind of thing. So I that's who I think my core customer is. And so when I am writing an email or a correspondence, that's who I have in mind. And I came to that conclusion based on years of looking at who's buying and
Okay.
my conversations with people and things like that.
So just to clarify, you said a woman, so it's not just one customer you have, right?
No, it's women.
Not a singular woman who is
And I have some men. Men do not, I find, for my business, I do not
uh
have nearly as many male customers as I do female customers. For me, it's probably 90-10.
and I've always loved with male shoppers versus female shoppers, and I'm this way, it's true. Like a lady shopper will buy a bunch of stuff, try it on, and return it. A
Correct.
male shopper will buy
Nope.
something, "This doesn't fit, but I'll wear it."
Exactly, and the only time that doesn't happen, I feel, is if his girlfriend or wife or friend says, "Hey, moron, give
Yeah,
me that, I'll send it back for you." So, for I agree with that. Male shoppers, I think, have a lot less returns than women do. I think that if you're going to be somebody who is in the used clothing business, you have to be okay with returns.
yeah.
We don't give you the opportunity to come in and try it on, and people say, "I put measurements." I'm sorry. We
Yeah,
can take all the measurements we want. It might not fit right. It might not hang right. I might not like where the V goes. There are a million different things, even though if you give me measurements, that may not work for me. So for me, I think what you sell can depend on your customer service. I think if you're a used clothing seller's returns are important, which is one thing why people like Poshmark. Returns are much harder to do.
mhm.
But,
It's interesting you talked about the different sizing and measurements. Trish, I know that you know that I'm typically an XL.
I do know that.
But there's especially now, Trish, I've lost 10 pounds actually.
Hey
But
now,
there thank you so much.
you're welcome.
There's the occasional large I can get into, so
Uh-huh.
I'm very excited. I tried on a large T-shirt the other day. It was stretch it out a little bit,
Hey, we
but,
all have done that.
yeah. And then no, and then I found some Hawaiian shirts. Did I tell you that when I was
Yes,
going through my
but they
stuff?
were, like, all different sizes.
Yeah, all different
Yeah.
sizes. Obviously, the smalls and the mediums are a no-go. But those larges did not fit, but
Mhm.
the double XL fit like a large typically would.
Oh,
They're
so
very
are they vintage?
no, no.
Okay, so here that's the other thing that you need to think about when you're doing customer service. Sometimes there are vanity sizes, do you know what that is? So, like, Chico's, I'm a size 2 in Chico's. Never been a size 2 in anything in my life. So, the size 2 in Chico's for them is a large, extra large, okay? So, like, they just make up their own sizes because they
There you
want women to feel better about themselves. It's called vanity sizing. So, for some things have vanity sizing, so then you have to extrapolate that out into what it is into a normal size. But then there's also vintage sizing, where a vintage size could be something that is very excuse me, something that's very like a large, let's say, but it really fits like now like a small.
go. Okay.
So you have to understand what your product is and you have to be realistic with yourself. This is one thing that I think sometimes resellers don't do a very good job at. And I think one of the things that we do as a reseller is we expect everyone else to have the same information we do, right? So
Yeah.
you understand what vanity sizing, you understand that vintage sizing may run very small. And even if we write, this is vanity sizing. My mother, God bless her, loves Chico's. She
Mhm.
has bought them for a long time, still doesn't understand their vanity sizing, still doesn't understand what size I am or what size she is, and will buy the wrong size all the time.
There you go.
And so for me, I think sometimes we just have to understand that people don't have the same knowledge we have. And so we got to give them a little grace for returns, for things like that. And I think that depending on your category, if you sell hubcaps, maybe returns are never a thing. If you sell games, maybe you never do them for certain reasons because people will play them and then send them back or whatever. I
Okay.
think this is all category specific, but knowing your category well is really the key to good customer service, I think.
There you go. And if anybody's wondering, my vanity size is obviously petite.
Medium. Petite.
Yeah, petite.
Medium,
Did
you
you
said
say
petite.
medium? I take that's the, vintage vanity size for me, Trish. Petite.
Okay, okay, okay.
I'm not gonna name any names because 'cause I'm not one to do that, Trish.
Okay, Doug.
When I worked in the golf industry in marketing, we worked with a very prominent golfer, and they used to have to and so they you wear the clothing, you do photo shoots with the clothing, he gets a bunch of clothing. They used to have to sew 34 labels in his pants because, "This doesn't fit me."
All right,
Well,
I cannot wait for you to tell me who this is off the air, because
yeah.
I literally have no clue.
Yeah, he insisted on being a 34, so they would sew 34s in his pants.
That's hysterical. And here's the thing, that is some people with clothing.
Yeah,
There are lots of clothing, you'll go somewhere to buy clothing, and there's lots of clothing that have the tags taken out. And maybe the tag is there, just the size is gone. That is somebody who is not comfortable with what size
I
clothing there says.
I'm no XL.
Exactly. How dare they?
Exactly. So you touched on this earlier in your little intro. You talked about communication and a couple things there, but how important in the online world is listening?
Oh, extremely important. And also trying to really figure out what they're saying to you, right? Like really listening to what they're saying. And if they're angry, just trying to not let that bother you.
Yeah,
Here's one of the things that I think happens. Anybody who's a reseller, we understand that eBay is little sellers, right? A few
yeah,
big ones, but a lot of medium and little sellers who sell lots and lots of things. And we understand that as resellers. That's a little bit of Amazon too. Amazon has some of their own stuff, but they also have sellers. People who buy from Amazon and eBay do not understand that intellectually.
okay.
They just think of it as a company. I bought it from eBay.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
bought I bought it from Amazon, right?
Mhm.
They don't understand that I bought it from Douglas at eBay. They don't understand they bought it from Trish at eBay. They might really, because the emails come, but they don't when they get mad at the platform. They don't get mad at the person. And I think that resellers really have to understand that, because they don't think of us as little solo entrepreneurs. They think of us as a conglomerate,
Yeah,
as the man, as the collective. And so for them, they're angry. They think the man is trying to screw them, or the man didn't send them the right product, or the man, whatever. And I think that resellers would be better off if they understood that and didn't take it personally and
yeah,
tried to build in a buffer into your business model. I think that everyone would be better off if you build in a little buffer that would allow you to take a hit every once in a while, pay somebody back their money and let them keep the item for a
yeah,
better sale experience, or have something sent back to you that you normally wouldn't take returns on and resell it because it's a better sales experience for the person. That person will then stay on eBay,
yeah,
hopefully rebuy from you in the future, and will continue to be in part of our ecosystem. Whereas if we annoy them too much, they'll be off the platform. We don't
yeah,
buy from them,
yeah,
and we don't want that. And
yeah.
that is something that I think that in the snarky, I don't think that's a good look. I
Oh,
wouldn't do it. Huh?
oh, yeah, I know, I agree. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
good idea.
And I also So when you're in a communication with somebody, I would be very factual and I would apologize even when things are not your fault. And you don't have to say, I'm sorry I did this, but you could say, I'm sorry you're having a bad experience. Right? That doesn't mean I take responsibility for it. That just means I am sorry that this sale isn't going well for you. I'm sorry this isn't what you expected. I'm sorry that you're having a bad experience. Let's see what we can do to get you to a place where at least you're neutral. You're back to neutral. And the other thing is, I think that you didn't really ask this, but I'm going to say this about feedback.
Okay.
We have the opportunity. There is always going to be somebody who you cannot please, right? No matter how nice you are, no matter
Yeah,
how much money you give back, no matter whatever. There are some people who are just nasty. When you have those people leave and they leave you feedback and it's bad feedback, go in and reply to the feedback, but do it in a professional manner. Again, I always say I have free returns for any reason
Yeah.
so that anybody who goes in can see, like, why the hell are these people upset that you could have just sent it back, right?
Yeah.
I have free returns for any reason. I am sorry that this sale was not up to your whatever, depending on what the thing is. I never try to be snarky, even when I want to be, because it's there forever in black and white. So just think about things before you write them.
Yeah, exactly. And those complaints or complaints, a bad review, it's also a customer service touch point and an opportunity to try and
Exactly.
win back.
Exactly. And it's also, I have had people who have left me bad feedback. I
Yeah.
have gone in and said, I'm sorry, I have free returns for any reason. And then I go on whatever the specific is of that. And I've had people take it back.
Yeah.
Have said to me, you know what, I was angry. I'm going to take that off.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have taken off if I was snarky in my response, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and we
So,
do see that out there.
yeah. And the other thing I think you need to think about is that, as I said before, we want them to stay on the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
behooves us all if the platforms are
exactly.
successful. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then what you're talking about is getting this rapport going back and forth, being honest and transparent. You're building trust with your customers.
Absolutely. And I am somebody who will, granted, my things are not very expensive, right? So for me to give you back your money and let you keep the item is really non-consequential, right? 40 bucks, let's say. For people who are selling very expensive items, then that comes into a different thing, right? Then you do have to go through channels. Sometimes where I maybe could call eBay and have eBay step in and help me figure out how to get a resolution, I sometimes don't do it because it isn't worth the money. But when we're talking about money that's serious to you, whatever that dollar figure is, I have seen eBay allow me to keep the money and the people to keep the money when it isn't neither of our faults. I do think eBay sometimes gets a bad rap and for customer service as in taking care of the seller, the resellers customer service, and I'm not so sure it's warranted. I do think that they try. I do think that they want to keep us happy and also the customer happy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, UPS, USPS, DHL, and everybody else is in the middle. So sometimes there's not much they can do about it. You also want to make sure you're buying insurance if you have something that's expensive. You want to make sure you're doing the extra protection if the money is of real consequence to you.
Okay. So let's talk about how important product knowledge is in a customer service strategy.
So I think it's really important because people will ask you questions and you want to be able to answer them honestly and accurately.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody to ask you a question and then they buy it and you send it to them and they're like, "No, this isn't what it was supposed to be." So it's not only having the knowledge, but it's being able to explain the knowledge in a way so that I know you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's also being able to make sure you and I are both seeing this thing the same way. So sometimes it does take a little bit more back and forth. Sometimes it does take a little bit more time. And so sometimes for me, you're like, is this really worth this $15 sale to make sure that, but you hope that eventually that $15 sale, maybe they'll come back next time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Tell us how you go the extra mile with your customers.
When I first started, I used to put a piece of jewelry, like a pair of earrings or whatever, something little in every bag that I did. I gave like a free gift. And I did that for a really long time. I don't do that anymore. If you are new and you can get your hands on something that's very inexpensive, and it could be a sticker, it could be whatever, it doesn't have to be something that kind of makes you stand out a little bit, that may be worth it to you. And it especially may be worth it on something like Poshmark, where love notes are a thing and people expect like special packaging and stuff. So sometimes that can help you stand out. Now, I just really, two things that I do, and I think that everyone should do. The first thing is I leave positive feedback for you the moment that you pay.
Okay.
Because for me, the only thing a customer is contractually obligated to do is to pay for the item they say they want. So as soon as somebody pays for an item, I give you positive feedback. And I think that should be ambiguous across the board. Waiting for you to give me feedback so I give you feedback, that was something we did 15 years ago, 20 years ago. When the feedback system on eBay, I'm speaking eBay right now, is very different than it is now. So for me, I immediately give feedback and I also am very communicative if there's anything wrong.
Mhm.
If there's a snowstorm in the Northeast, if I have lost power, even though eBay says I'll cover you because eBay's very good. If you have a snowstorm, if you have lost power, if there's something specific in your area, call eBay. They will extend the shipping time for you so you are not getting dinged. But I
Yeah.
also will write to them and say, just wanted you to know we have no power today. The post office is closed. I just want you to know your item won't go out till tomorrow. You will see an updated shipping. But I go, and so it's not just from eBay, it's from me also. And if they leave me feedback and there are any issues, if it's not positive feedback, sometimes I go in and answer positive feedback. I do not always. If you're a new seller, I would suggest going in and answering feedback every single time somebody leaves it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. I have a lot of feedback, so I don't really worry about it. But
Yeah.
if anyone leaves me neutral or negative feedback, I do go in and answer it and say, have free returns for any reason. And I try to because sometimes they will amend it.
Yeah. Interesting. No, and yeah, I think that's a good practice. You just touched on it. What are some of the interesting challenges to online customer service in our online reviews, social media world? Tell us about that.
Something that pops into my mind, which isn't even really what you asked, but it is a language barrier sometimes. A lot of these platforms, eBay, Macari, other ones, you do sell overseas and you can get a into a communication with somebody where English isn't their first language. And sometimes there's a barrier there, even though there is a translator built into the system.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's exactly hard to know what they're asking or what they want. So that can be difficult. Other than that, I think don't get into what my father so eloquently used to say a pissing match with somebody, right?
All right.
They're upset. Don't go toe to toe with them.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally. They don't know you. They
Yeah.
don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know you, right? So who
Mhm.
cares what they think? Just try to de-escalate it because the de-escalation of that situation will serve you later. You don't want to get into a brouhaha.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
Okay. And then what about social media interaction?
So I am somebody who has very little social media interaction on my store. I know there are stores that have a big social media presence and they're usually very niche down, right? They sell a very specific item. I am a very large seller who has lots of different things, and I am not niche down enough to really have that. So for me, I don't really worry about that.
Okay.
I do know I have a really good friend of mine, Julie Brown. She sells tiki. So she does have Ohio tiki nuts and she puts the things she has on for sale and different things like that. And I think Julie would say that her reputation in the tiki world is very important. And so you don't exactly, basically what I just said, don't get into it.
Because you don't want to get cursed by an evil tiki.
Exactly. You don't want that to happen. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is you don't want to discourage anyone from buying from you. If they see that you've had a bad interaction with somebody who maybe somebody they like, maybe somebody they respect, or it's maybe just they didn't like the way you handled it because they don't know everything that went on before you said whatever you said out loud in
Yeah.
the masses. I just, it's my opinion, you're better off de escalating and eating a little humble pie even if you are 100% in the right.
There you go.
I just try to think of it as a bigger picture.
And don't mess with that evil voodoo. You remember what
Exactly.
happened to Greg Brady
Stay
and the Haunted
ex exactly, when they were in
House?
Hawaii,
The scary
lots of bad crap happened.
two-part episode of the Brady Bunch, ladies and gentlemen.
It
Remember the song?
I do remember the song. Wasn't what's his name on those too? The little boy?
What what little boy?
The little boy who came at the end
I don't know.
with the blonde hair and, like, the bob cut.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
no,
do,
I know
I'll
what
think
you're
of it.
talking about. Yeah, not in that episode, you mean? And then
He
he was,
wasn't
like,
there
their
yet?
cousin for a while? I don't
Yeah, he
know.
was their cousin, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Anything else to add to our fabulous customer service and reselling discussion?
I just think you'll be better off if you don't take any of it personally.
Yeah, yeah. And then you gotta add too, as we always say, and it's true, no matter how big a seller you are or how small, Trish is six figure, I'm one to three figures depending upon the month. But you still have to think about customer service. People are gonna
Yes,
reach out to you. Even if you're like, oh, this is just a hobby, I'm getting rid of stuff. If somebody's got a question, they're gonna reach out and you wanna be cool because this is you're making money off of this. They're giving you
exactly.
money and just be cool.
Just be cool. And also be proactive in the sense of if somebody reaches out to you and it's after, let's say you're gone for the weekend and you don't literally know the answer, right? This just happened. I was gone with my mom to Texas and somebody asked a question and Liz and I were together. So neither of us could go look at it. And my
Yeah.
husband was at the hotel. He works for a hotel. So he was gone. So I wrote to them and said, I will not be back until Sunday evening. I'm very sorry. I cannot answer this question for you until then. Now, did I have to do that Friday night? No. Could I have said we're not open weekends on Monday and just let it go? Yes. But sometimes a little bit of sugar helps.
You went the extra mile.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that is true. Cool. Thanks you. Well,
Anytime,
thank
my
you,
friend.
Trish. Thanks for
You're
coming on the
welcome.
show, Trish, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
Trish
you're welcome,
Glenn,
my friend.
Super Sale Trish, Reselling with Trish on the show, talking customer service in reselling.
Yes. And we'd love to hear your ideas and your thoughts. If you have another strategy, let us know. Maybe you can come on and talk about it.
There you
Maybe
go.
you think I'm completely wrong and snark is the way to go. Tell me.
This
Let's talk about it.
that would be lovely.
That would be fun.
All right, let's move over to seller shout outs, Trish.
Okay. So this week we have a few people to talk about, and let's start with Molly, Libby, and Samantha, the ladies from Consignment Chats.
There you go. And they're in the midst, Trish, of a consignment chats challenge winter warm up listapalooza.
I just love a list of Palooza.
I know. I love anything with the word palooza in it.
Palooza, exactly.
And I think I had a conversation with them, and I'm probably responsible for coining the term list. So I'm going to have to obviously reach out and get my cut.
Of course, we expect nothing less.
But this is cool. They had a cool launch. They're supporting it with updates and videos. And
Yep.
what I thought was really interesting is you can be an online seller or a brick and mortar seller.
I know,
And
which
then,
is really interesting because we
yeah,
don't really think of those 2 things as being yeah,
and there's some that are both. We
yeah,
know some sellers that do that. And started a few days ago with a goal of 1,000 listings. And when I checked this morning, they'd beaten the goal and they're at
okay,
1257 now.
great, and they're offering recognition and prizes, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the prizes are, but yeah. And
one of them can be the winner can come on the Seller Community
there you go.
Podcast.
Yay, yay. After their show.
Yes.
And so they also have a Facebook event. We'll put the link in the show notes. And they describe it as a fun, supportive, business boosting listing competition, Trish.
That is awesome, and I love all of them. Molly and Libby are adorable, but let me just say this, if you are somebody who does not maybe perform at the level you think you should.
Hmm.
Maybe you're somebody who is not getting as many listings done as you should. Maybe you're somebody who spends too much time doing your listings. You want to speak with Samantha because Samantha will put you into your
Oh, yeah.
place
Oh, yeah.
and tell you what you should be doing. And for some people, they really respond to that. So if you're somebody who needs a little bit of tough love, Samantha's your girl, man.
A little bit of push, a little bit of accountability. Yeah,
Yeah.
Samantha will call you out.
She is, she's awesome.
And
So
then
good.
yeah,
Go and I wanna know all about it.
go check it out. Do
Yeah,
you want to shout out recent winners, Trish?
of course. So far, from the brick and mortar side, Cameron Lawson? Do we think that's how we say that? Ashley Motley and Matthew Miles have won so far.
Yay, yay, all right.
And online, Nisha Dinkard, who is in Mastermind and adorable, and I love her. Ashley Walker and Pam Arnold, my friend from Connecticut slash no, wait, Pam Arnold. Pam is
Florida,
from
right?
Pam is from
And
Florida.
she literally wins everything she
I
enters
was
in.
gonna
This is
say
no joke.
she is not, she is the I mean, this she had to do work. This wasn't just but
Oh, yeah.
she this one wasn't just luck, but she is one of the luckiest people we have ever met, isn't she, Doug?
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
I
She
mean,
is very lucky.
she is.
Husband's a magician. How lucky is
Close
that?
up
Close up
musician.
magician, not far
Yeah.
away.
And I
Holly
am.
from Consignment Chats was on the Snoop Doggy Show last week. We had a lovely time. Libby came in, Samantha was ill, she couldn't make it.
And
So,
it's is it Lascal?
I think it's Lisk.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See, sorry, guys. We do not mean to butcher your names. It's just part of the deal. Yeah, so it was really fun. You guys, we really look forward to hearing about it. And yeah, great.
yeah, and Trish.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, another great fun contribution from the Consignment Chat ladies. Longtime friends of the show. They've been on a bunch of times. We've been on their show. I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
happen again. But now, Trish, we have some listing party news.
Yeah, so our listing party host challenge winner this week was Molly, Speak of the Devil.
What?
Congratulations to her and thank you for co-hosting the Cup of Consignment party every Tuesday with Samantha and Molly and Libby. If you haven't stopped by on a Tuesday morning, please do so. You'll get some motivation. And let me tell you, if you need motivation, Samantha's your girl. So
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
And they're very supportive and they can teach you about consignment or reselling that answer questions. So do yourself a favor and get over to that one. It's really a great party.
And Teresa ran this up. Teresa pretty much runs listing party. And thanks to everyone who stepped up and took the challenge to host a party and to those that attended. There's always something to learn, and we appreciate those that take the time to help and share their knowledge and experience with the community. But you can still host and have
Absolutely. We would
fun.
love to have you. Yeah. Do you have a tip or a trick that's helped you on your reselling journey? Are you knowledgeable in a specific niche or industry? Maybe you'd like to list on a Tuesday evening and you would like just to show up or just to come and have people show up with you. Maybe you just want to talk about something that has nothing to do with reselling. One maybe a list and chat. I think list and chat sounds fun.
Chat.
So you can almost anyone can host a party if you belong to List Perfectly. Just pick a topic and schedule it. It's right through listingparty.com. And we would love to have you. And if you would like somebody from List Perfectly to help, we're more than happy to do that. Doug or I, more than happy to. Teresa, it's really fun. The community loves it, and there's no experience required.
There you go. Yeah, and Trish and I will hop in or some of the other LP team. But yeah, try it out. I think we've got some stuff coming where we've got some suggested topics that have been asked for that we'd love to have other faces, other experts weigh in on. So keep an eye out for that in the List Perfectly group.
Yeah,
All
please.
right.
We'd really love it. And if you are shy or you have just some ideas, feel free always. You're more than welcome to reach out to either Doug or I.
All right. Cool.
Thanks to those that we have shouted out. Hey, and listen, because we may shout you out soon and you never know what we're going to talk about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the newest segment, Trish Tips, Seller Tips. Seller Tips. Trish,
Trish,
do you have a tip for us this week, Trish?
I'm going to continue in my marketing, in my customer service vein right now. We already started with that. I just want to give you a few tips on this. So, one of my tips is going to be have a document with some standardized things that you can say over and over again, right? You can think about them now, some generic things. Sorry, this item didn't work for you. You can even put parentheses where you put in the item that whatever. maybe a couple of standardized things about shipping being late, maybe some things about when somebody says it's delivered and it's not here, maybe you have a few standardized lines about that so that you can easily just copy and paste them, and it may take out some of the emotion for you, right?
Mhm.
If you have these things already set, takes out the emotion, makes it much easier to just drop and paste them in, and you're not as worked up about it.
Yeah.
But it also can help you save some time, especially if you get these a lot. And maybe you are somebody who doesn't answer anything on Sundays or Saturdays. Maybe you do truly take the weekend off. Have a standardized thing that says, I'm very sorry. We are not open on the weekend. We're a small family business. We will get back to you Monday morning at 9 a.m. We look forward to helping you then. And then you just paste that in. And so then you're not really thinking about it. You're not really working, but you're still giving them excellent customer service. So, my tip of the week, tip of the podcast, Trisha's tips. I don't know what the hell we're calling it, but whatever it is, my tip is to have a open document that you can just put these in and add to it as you go along and think about them, make them straightforward, easy to understand, and without any emotion.
Yeah, and stuff will come up, you can update it. Like,
Yeah.
one of mine is, "Dear sir or madame, how are you? I am fine."
Yeah. Not good. Don't do that,
Right,
ladies
that's
and gentlemen.
it's not personal. All right, thank you, Trish. An excellent seller tip, excellent Trish tip, and Trish will be back for more. with
Yes.
Trish will be back with more tips next week.
Yes, I will.
All right, Trish, you know that I do hate to get serious, but sometimes
Yes,
we do have to do it. So we're moving
absolutely.
on. Yeah, we're moving on to the seller news, and not all news is always good. Sometimes there's bad news, sometimes there's sad news, but this happened, and I think we should touch base on it, talk about it.
Sure.
Obviously, we're big fans of eBay. eBay just did the biggest round of layoffs in years, 1,000 people globally across the world, and it's a sad thing, and it
It
was a
is.
bummer for me when I saw it because I got laid off 4 years ago, almost to
Right.
the day, and I checked in with some friends. I don't think there was anybody I knew, but there were some teams I knew people on that got affected.
Yeah. And Doug, what do you contribute it to?
I think a couple things is I've seen some people say that they're letting go of under under workers or lazy people. I don't think that's what it is. I think they're strategic. They do have some big teams, but an I don't think that's a good way to put it. I was laid off. I didn't think I was lazy.
Okay.
I hope
Glad to
not.
know that.
I hope not. But I think that and I was asked this the other night when I was on the Slim Flippers podcast, Trish. And I
Yes.
I think there's a lot of tech layoffs in general. I
Yeah.
think a lot of I think a lot of companies had to hire up and ramp up for the pandemic because
Yep.
online sales went through the roof.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it. I think they have to get leaner. Always there's a lot of competition, and I think that is part of it. Paul Apollonia actually put out a really good video, 4 minutes and 44 seconds on his YouTube channel where he talks about this, and I think he hit the nail on the head. It's yeah, the economy, everything the last few years has been messed up because of
Yes.
COVID. We
Yep.
basically the world basically shut down. I remember
Right.
going out one morning, we had to forage out for something, and it was like a wasteland, no
Yeah.
cars, no people.
Yeah.
And that was right when I got laid off from eBay, and right away, I had a lot of hits. I had, like, multiple interviews and 4 jobs, like, literally lined up, and then everything shut down, and
Yep.
they closed out these jobs, and it took me a few months to really get into something. But I think that's part of it too. But I will also say, and that's the thing is I love eBay. We did break up. eBay calls. She can call late at night after that night out.
For a
Yeah,
nice little booty
that's right.
call for Dougie.
The e-commerce call. And but I think too is like they do have some opportunities that they need to lean into that they move slowly on. I still think live sales are big. I think live auctions are going to be big. I've seen some sellers talk about that. They're the OG auction site. I think they really need to make the eBay lives happen. I think they've been moving out slowly. Whatnot has had an incredible year
Yeah.
that really stands out. Obviously, Posh Lives and a lot of stuff is going live. There's a lot of sellers doing their own live stuff,
Yep.
and you'll still see a lot of sellers that will, with the ability to go live, make that ability work for them to sell stuff.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. Think of eBay as a massive ship, like a
Yeah.
tanker,
Yeah.
and I think of List Perfectly just as a comparison as like a very mobile yacht. We can
Oh, yeah.
move into places and we are very maneuverable. And so we can, and I think that Whatnot is in that same vein. It's small enough that it can move and
Yeah.
change and do things. And eBay is a very large, very old organization comparatively, and they can't stop on a dime. They can't move very quick. They can't change with the times
Yeah.
as easy. And so I think some of this is just a byproduct of how big they are and how much they have to do. And so for me, while I think it is very sad that they laid off 9% of their workforce, that was the number, right?
I
9%.
think so, yeah.
It isn't surprising because things change. And those departments that maybe were very large and very needed during the pandemic, pre pandemic, whatever, now may be smaller. And maybe we're going to start looking at other areas that they will can get bigger. I do not personally think this has anything to do with the health of eBay at all. I think eBay is a very healthy platform. It is still the biggest in the reseller game. It is still
Yeah.
the big dog. If you're not on eBay, I know probably anyone who's heard us has heard me say this before. If you're not on eBay, you should be. You
Yeah.
want to learn eBay. eBay is the dog, the big dog. And I think this is not in any way indicative of that.
Yeah, and I think across the board, selling is still a viable option, but
Absolutely.
you have to diversify, you have to always be able to adapt, and I do
Yep.
think if you're gonna sell online, you have to be on eBay, but there are a ton of other options out there as well, and then there have been some surprising layoffs recently, like Sports Illustrated,
Yeah.
Los Angeles Times, they're more in the media side of things,
Yep.
and I do think that may have some to do with the rise of AI, and which is one of my favorite topics, but it's a tool and it depends on how you use it, but AI is here. Some people thought it was a fad, a flash in the pan. It's not. It's here to stay, and I think you have to learn how to use it and you have to learn how to adapt, especially in media, especially in marketing, and that has some influence in some of these tech layoffs too, but also is like you always put it really well, is there's a low barrier to entry in online selling. Anybody can do it, especially if you're passionate about something. There's so many people willing to teach you how to do it, so many resources out there, so many sellers like Trish who have been doing it for years, and just a ton of sellers out there with that are willing to help on social media. Not like it used to be when you first started online selling. You had to figure out everything yourself and take a
And if you
picture.
could find somebody
Yeah,
who, like, had you would have to watch so much to figure out exactly where you should be. It's much different now. And people like the Boss Facebook group or Katie and Vicky's YouTube show, they do a live. You can go in and ask a specific question. Same with the Boss group, same with the List Perfectly Zone group. And you do not have to be a List Perfectly member to be in our Facebook group. Please, whether you use a List Perfectly or not, please come in and join the group. It's a great group. You can ask questions. We will answer because we are, by and large, reselling experts, right? As a company, a lot of us sell, and also the people who started it, Clara and Amanda, they were resellers. So we have a lot of reselling experience.
yeah.
And so come in, ask the questions. We want to help you.
Yeah, yeah, and, listingparty.com, the
Yeah,
sellercommunitypodcast.com, the sellercommunityblog.com, and just a lot of free resources, yes, from List Perfectly. And again, like Trish said, is we're doing this because we love it, we love the community, and I say this all the time, but everybody at List Perfectly uses List Perfectly. We all sell at some level or another. I
right.
don't know if you know, Trish, that I am a 1 to 3 figure
Doug,
reseller.
I really cannot wait till you say to me, "Trish, I'm a 3 to 5 figure seller."
Yes, it could
It's gonna
happen.
be thrilling.
could happen this year, Trish. I'm gonna sell all my Trish signed photos that I have or not put my name on, so they're sellable
Well, okay then.
to the Trishettes out there, the Trish fans.
Trisha.
All right, I know this was a serious topic, but best of luck to people that got laid off. I
Absolutely.
always do think closed even when I was devastated when I was laid off by eBay, and I
Yeah,
understood it was a business decision, but closed doors always open new ones, and I am where I am for a reason.
exactly.
Harassing Trish each day.
That is very true. No, but it is true, and it's also one of those things you have to look at what you've gained also, the knowledge that you've gained, the people that you know, reach out to your resources, figure out who can maybe point you in a new direction, the networking availability, and the things that have changed in the last 20 years with the internet and social media, and being able to stay in touch with people that before would have been very difficult. You wouldn't have had that. Think about the networking, and my best of luck to them also. It's a terrible thing.
And to those eBayers, if you're listening or former eBayers, reach out. I've been there. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I know a lot of sellers. I know a lot of people in e-commerce. If there's some connection I can help you make, happy to do that.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah,
pretty much every job I've gotten has been based on a connection or knowing
right.
someone, including
Absolutely.
this one.
Including this one. No, it's true though. And you do want to, and you have a knowledge base. You have a reselling, and the reselling world is big and way more vast than it was even 5 years ago. It is growing and things are happening. And so maybe you weren't a reseller before. Maybe you should be now. Look into it. We want to help.
Good opportunity. Good
Right.
opportunity. All right, Trish, hopefully we will have more news next week, maybe happier
Absolutely.
news. You never know.
Hey, can't be, it can always be worse.
I guess so. I guess so.
But thank you, Doug. It was fun.
Yes, thank you so much. And my favorite phrase, that's all the news that fits this week.
That's all the news that fits this week.
Yeah, that's a you know what that's from.
No,
All the news that fits.
I no.
That's the tagline for Rolling Stone magazine.
Huh. I don't think I ever knew that.
There you go. You learn something new every day,
I learn
Trish.
something new every day. And I guess I have to admit, I learn something new from you almost every day.
So much. It's
You're
trivial
welcome.
knowledge that you probably don't need, but
But
there
I
you
like it.
there you go. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Please reach out if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, you have any ideas. We'd love to hear them.
Yep. Thanks. And yeah, the sellercommunitypodcast.com, that contact form on there. Hit us in the hit us up in the group, or you can email us at podcast at listperfectly.com.